And then you have union, which joins the two objects and makes it one object of that shape that you have. So we're going to be doing with only the intersection items. So first thing we're going to select is we're going to select this, and then we're going to select this. So the only thing that should appear is this minus the stuff that's showing outside the sphere. And we're going to hit enter. And as you can see, it just cut down just a little bit. And that's not exactly what I wanted. So we're going to go back and we're going to hit Shift or Control Z to bring it back. And we're going to move this down by getting a little closer to it so we can see what we're doing here. And it's wanting to snap up into a specific deal here. Bringing it down by 0.025. That's a bit too much, so we're going to go up about right there. I would say 0.7, say 0.3 in that direction. So now looking at the top, we're going to go over what we see there, and it's going to be a slightly off curve, so we're going to move this over to where this is right here. That way when we make this curve is actually going to meet up with the other side that we make. So now we're going to escape the select here, and we're going to use this boolean again, selecting this object here, the sphere, and selecting the object that we want, and then we press enter. And that should be good for the outside. Now we still have the pressing issue of this bottom part here, and the reason why we had so much here to begin with. Now we're going to be utilizing another sphere to actually subtract it. So we're going to create a large sphere, and most of this is just by eyeballing it. But in a normal circumstance, we would create a much more detailed subtraction here. So we're going to go wireframe here, and we want to move this to where it's even with this. And it's self-snapping, so alright, now moving this down, we want to move this down here, and we're going to go back to conceptual again. We can even go to realistic here. Conceptual adds the lines for us right there. Now we want to increase the radius of this sphere to make it more flat when we perform our operation. And move you up, move you down right about there, but we're also going to move you forward to make it where it intersects with the top part up there. And to understand what I'm talking about, I'm just going to go ahead and add the subtract right here. Select this object from this object. Enter. Okay. Alright, so So it says subtract, select solids and regions to subtract from. We're going to subtract from this one. And we're going to hit enter. Select regions, objects to subtract, and we're going to select that one, hit enter. And we're going to come up here, and what you're going to notice is it's going to be a little rounded off. So it's not perfect. It does add that little deal right there, but all in all, not a bad deal. It does come up to a nice little point up here, the way I wanted it to. And there are a lot more easier ways to deal with this, so we can build it up a lot nicer. One of the things I will be doing real quick is we're going to do a manual move and modification of a 3D solid. And so what we're going to do is, hovering over this, you can notice that I can only really select just the object itself. However, if I hit the control key, I can select the face, the line, or even select the vertex using control and mousing over the object. And we can go ahead and delete this and delete this. And if you'll notice, the original item is actually still there. You can just go through and delete them as you deem necessary. And because you're not going to print that, and the printer can't even realize what to do with that to begin with. So we're going to do here. Alright. So, good enough. Now, we're going to modify this by pulling this upward a little bit. So, hitting Control, we can select just this line, and again, mousing over it will bring up the move bars, and we're going to move this in the Z direction by 1 inch. 1 inch up, and we're going to do the same with this one right here. Using Control, you can come in, select just this. Nope. Come on. And by clicking, you can change what you're selecting. Now mousing over this, again the bar, move it up in the 90, and as you can see, what it's doing is it's creating the Boolean operation again. And so we're going to escape that. We're going to move this back down. We're going to escape everything. Move this around so you can view it better, and I can select it a lot better. We're going to move this back down because, well, the thing I wanted to do didn't work. So we can actually Control Z everything. So we have our object. Good enough. Now we would like to create a union of the two objects as it stands, this object and this object, and we're going to hit enter. So now you have one solid right here, and this should allow me to do it again. So I'm going to select through well, actuality, we can actually edit this part right here to make it more involved with the item itself. So we're going to select, wow, move this over, zoom in, that's alright. This will be what we print. So it doesn't look like much, but it's something that didn't exist a little while ago, and it is now a nice mesh that we can 3D print. So we are going to go ahead and export this and go to export, and we're going to do this as lampcover.stl. And again, STL is a stereolithography file that is utilized for 3D printing. So when you're saving there, that's what you're going to be saving as. So we're going to save as a .stl. It's going to ask us export select a single solid for STL output. We're going to select our object, and we're going to hit enter. And we have created the STL file. Now, go into Cura, and we're going to load up our object, which is going to be in inches and quite big. So we're obviously not going to be able to print all of it, but for a good trial, we might be. Load model file. And we're going to go into and it didn't load. So let's go back to AutoCAD. Solid does not lie on the positive XYZ octant. So we're going to take this object here, and we're going to move it. So move 0, 0, 0. We're going to set you in a positive view. And so we're actually going to type in, move it in positive direction of 5 inches. Yes, there we go. And then we're going to move you upward. Move. And hit enter. Base point 0, 0. And we're going to move you in the up direction. Alright, so now we can go through and export again. Call it lamp cover. And save. Specify single solid. And we're going to actually increase this in size so we can see what it says this time. Select single solid and enter. Save. Okay, one found export. So we're going to go into Cura, and you see a lamp cover here. We're going to open it up, and we've run into an issue. Cura recognizes millimeters, even if and an STL is actually a unitless export. So what we did was we exported in inches, and it needs to be in millimeters. So we're going to go back to AutoCAD, and the solution for that is actually fairly simple. Go to Format, Units, and we're going to set up in millimeters. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the export, and we're going to actually choose this. Save, yes, select object, and enter. And it's going to be in lamp cover, save, yes. Alright, so go back into Cura, File, Clear Platform, Load Model File. We're going to go back down, select our lamp cover, and it still falls to the same issue. I don't know why. We are going to max it out though, because we know that it is 4.5 inches wide. We can go through and figure out how many millimeters wide it should be. So, give me a second, folks. This gives us 114.3 millimeters along the, I want to say this is the X scale. So, alright, we are going to say this is 114.3. And that is obviously way too large for our printer. So, we are going to have to hack some off of it. Alright. But you understand it's going to take quite a while. We can actually zoom to max and you can see something like this would take 8 hours and doesn't actually have the support it needs. And so we're going to print support structure. And I will be going over on the third a lot more on support structures made by us and others. So, just so you guys are aware, that is something we'll be going over on the third. So, alright, this gives us a basic 3D item that we can print. Doesn't look too far off yesterday's, but it is a lot better than what we had. Alright, so I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a good